Well, hello, everybody. Here we are again. And if you're from our country, the United States, you know we just been blowing up everything around here. And at our church, we blew up everything in sight on Sunday night. What a great time we had at our church with lots and lots of people there. And it was great. We had lots and lots of new folks we hadn't met before. And that's always one of the reasons why we do it. And so the great red and white and boom that we did and celebrating our independence. A lot of jokes go with that. People send me little pictures and stuff, Zion, about, and they sent me a picture of the Queen of England, who's scowling like you infidels or whatever because you broke away. So we have a little fun with that, but we did do that on Sunday. And then we got together, kind of a big family thing. And Frank Seamster, our friend, was here. He preached Friday and stayed the weekend, preached Sunday, great sermon, stayed with us. And then we get together with family and some friends, and he was here on last night, and we had another kind of private thing and had a great time with that. And so here in our country, we did all those things. And if you're from another country, then I don't know if you probably have celebrations that we don't have. But anyway, of course, then hitting us in the morning yesterday in our own country, and actually, Zion, Denmark got hit with a mall shooting. Either Sunday, Monday, I think, just last 2 days. Yeah, so it's not just our country, but you don't expect it in Denmark. But anyway, um, then our country got the shooting yesterday in Chicago, Highland Park, which is a nice part of Chicago, and I love Chicago. I always have loved it. Almost lived there and go there. I have a sister that lives out a little ways from there, and I love that city, but I don't really want to go downtown, spend too much time there. I wouldn't want to move close to downtown now. Got a lot of things need to be fixed. Well, anyway, had a shooter, of course, yesterday, and a lot of tragedy there. We're hurting here in our country, and I know other people around the world that can feel that too, and the people in Denmark feeling it too. And it's just the world we are. But today we're going to talk about how to cure America. And if you're not from America, you're not from the United States, you can grab hold of this too, because it's just where the world is really. It's how to cure the world. But I'm going to talk about it a little bit. But we do hurt for those, and we pray in the name of Jesus for those that are hurting, and in all the countries where stuff just happens, evil happens, and the Denmark, other places around here, and those that are suffering today in Highland Park. We're thankful that they think they got the person. May it open our eyes and teach us how we can cure our countries and cure ourselves from the sickness that is upon us in the name of Jesus. So anyway, we're going to talk about that. And some of you might know, I have a granddaughter named Allison who we've had some situations with her health over the last few years. You that know us know that's no secret. And all the miraculous breakthroughs, because basically we were at a point where we came to health issues that the doctors basically said, we don't know. We don't know what to do. Oh, I didn't say hi to people today, too. Beth and Mark and Joy and Valerie, if I can see everybody, and Carol and Ann and Tina and that's I think I missed some up at the top, but that's okay. Uh, yeah. Nathan. Yeah, I think I got most of them anyway. But hello to everybody that's here. And so my granddaughter Allison, she was going through some very, very difficult health issues, and finally nobody knew what to do. I mean, that's a pretty hard situation to be in, and so nobody knew what to do. And it started out kind of like sicknesses do, and you've been there too, where you just start getting to the point where something doesn't seem right. Something doesn't seem right. And that's kind of how it was in our country, right? In our country, maybe yours or whatever, in the churches or whatever, but in our country a few years ago, something just didn't seem right. Something seems off, and you kind of like, well, maybe we'll just wait and see, wait and see, wait and see. And so we did that, and it continually got worse. And as it continually got worse, then we realized something's really wrong. And that's what you've done too. You've known people or whatever. And he said, something's wrong. I need to go figure out what's wrong. And you go and, answer all their questions, do all the tests or whatever. And we did that. And I've had it done too, trying to figure out what's wrong sometimes with us. And we did everything like that. And it was really frustrating because then they came down. We don't know. Went to all the best. Went to Mayo Clinic and all that. Don't know. And there we were. Don't know. Don't know what to tell you. So that's pretty frustrating. And the thing that I'm bringing this up for is because that's where our country, that's where America is right now. Don't know what to tell you. Everybody pretty well has moved from, I think something's wrong, maybe there's something wrong, to the point where something's wrong. We're at the something's wrong. I don't listen a lot to the news anymore, but I do listen a little bit, especially when something happens. I want to get caught up on stuff. So I got caught up as much as I needed to be. And pretty much everybody's saying something's wrong. There's something off. Something's wrong. And everybody's trying to say what's wrong, what we need to do. And in this country now, we got them all like one politician from Illinois. Oh, boy. She's going to go back and let everybody have it. And, of course, they have this strange idea, especially in Illinois, that the way to cure this, the way to cure these problems, is get rid of the guns. Well, I get it. I understand that that's your knee jerk. That's what you think. If we had no guns, there'd be no shootings. But you can't get rid of guns. And they noticed that in the back in the 1930s and Prohibition. First of all, they tried to get rid of beer and liquor, and it didn't work. The only thing it did is the criminals kept doing it. The criminals had it, and so then they made millions and millions and millions of dollars because they had it. And guess who had the guns? They had all the good guns. And you know what? They had them the federal officers and the G-men, the government men. They had little pistols. They had these little pistols, and the criminals, they had machine guns. They went and got machine guns wherever they could get it. The criminals, they didn't care. They were criminals. They broke the law, not just in guns. They broke it in every area. They had them. And so the government agents, they couldn't keep up with them. So then J. Edgar Hoover started the FBI and all that stuff. Well, he gave them what they called the Tommy guns, the machine guns, and they had to give those because they couldn't keep up with the criminals. The criminals had all the good weapons. The criminals. So that didn't work. Now, so in states like Illinois, and New York, they have the best gun laws in the country. Illinois, New York, like that. Explain it to me. And they have the highest shootings, gun rates, killings by guns. It's the hardest state to get guns, and they have the highest shooting with guns. You know why? Because criminals, bad people, don't care. They're bad people. So you can pass all the laws you want to. Bad people still will do bad things. They'll find out how to get them, just like they did in the 1930s, 1930s, 20s, and 30s. They'll figure out how to get them. You know why? Because they'll break the law to get them. They'll steal them. They'll steal them from wherever they can get them, and they'll get them overseas. They'll make them. They'll even make a gun, So it's not going to be the total. Now, making them harder to get, okay, watching who gets background. All right. But a quick fix is we'll just get rid of them. In this country, this is the Wild West country. It didn't work. It didn't work then. And so, all right. So we got how are we going to cure this? Or how can we really cure? How can we get to the root of the cure? And so back to my granddaughter, we were told there's nothing we can do. And so we're kind of at that point now, like, okay, well, we'll try this. Well, that's not. Then you hear the opposite side, or maybe the same side. We just got to get the mental health. We got to catch them before these crazy people that are just out there. We got to catch them. We got to look at the internet. We got to look at their internet. We got to and if you see something, say something, and you got to see their Facebook page, and parents and students, and surely they got some kind of sign, and that's what they're doing with this person of interest now. They're going through everything and trying to figure out, did he give any signals? And I think yes. I think if you look at him and check him out a little bit, yeah, I think he was giving some signals. Okay, that's a good way to go too. But it's not a cure. You got to be pretty sharp. What if you miss somebody, which they did in this case, in other cases? So when we got down then to my granddaughter, we realized here's our problem. We know something's wrong. We knew for a long time something's wrong. Then we knew there was really something wrong. What we needed was a proper diagnosis. And I remembered in one of my books, I couldn't find it because I couldn't remember where I wrote it. I wrote a chapter on what we need is a proper diagnosis. You see, you can't get well if you don't know what's sick. If you don't know what's sick. And so everybody would like to make America, or maybe your country, or your church, or your city well. We want to get well. We'd like to have a healthy country. We don't want shootings. For us, we don't want crime. We don't want the drugs. We don't want the fentanyl going out. All the things that going crazy in our country right now. Everything's out of order. You know, God is a God of order. Well, it's all out of order. All right, but hi, Elnora, and there's Chris and Anna, and I think I said hi to most of you. We're all glad to be together today, and others will be watching later. And so everything's out of order, and people want to get the order back, or they want to at least stop the shooting tragedy. Good for them. But if you don't get a right diagnosis, if you say, well, here's the diagnosis, take guns away. That didn't work when you took booze away, you took drugs away, or you took the liquor away. That didn't work. It just became the criminals got it and made money off of it. So you take the guns away. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? Yeah, criminals are going to find them, and criminals will have guns, and and citizens will not, and some citizens don't, but some citizens do, and so. Anyway, so that's what'll happen. It won't keep the criminals, and there'll still be shootings, and there'll be certain people that are going to prove that they can beat the system by having guns. They'll get them. All right. Well, anyway, so is that the cure, though? No, it's not the cure. What about mental health? Well, yes, that has something to do with it, but is that going to really give the total cure? Is that going to give the total cure? No. So we got in that situation where we found a doctor said, well, do this and do that. And they gave my granddaughter all kinds of things to do to help, but it didn't give her the cure. Finally, if you know the story, we had a miraculous situation where God just intervened, and it's a long story, so I won't make it long. God gave me a person to contact who I had never met in my life, top neurological guy in the country. He didn't know me. I didn't know him. You know how it is. Sometimes you just get a doctor to call you back. And I contact just out of there, and send him an email and a text. He didn't know me, and I got the email. Oh, well, he don't take, it's a long story. All of a sudden, 4:00 on a Friday afternoon, he calls me and he says, "This is Stephen." I said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm doctor." I won't say his name. I'm top neurological doctor in the country. I'm doctor. He said his name, and he said, "And I'm going to help you." He called me. I never met him. I don't even know. Didn't know anything about him. And he did. He diagnosed Allison on the telephone. Diagnosed her after 2 years of searching every doctor we could find. And it was a miraculous thing. Well, once we got a correct diagnosis, then we could start going towards the cure. And she's doing really, really well. We're so thankful. And she's on her way now. All right. And the healing has begun. It's just getting going now. So it's really, really good. So we just needed a correct diagnosis. So what's the cure to America? We need to get somebody who can give us a correct diagnosis. We've got some good ideas. Maybe we need some better gun laws. Yeah, okay. And maybe we need to get some mental health things and if you see something, say something, and get better treatment and all that. Yeah, that's good too. But we need to get down to the root cure, that we get the right doctor, so to speak to us and say, this is what's going to get you on the right track to where you're cured. Your country is cured of people wanting to hurt other people, so frustrated, so upset. So the sick is not in the mind totally. The sickness is somewhere else. Now, We got to, if we're going to get the cure, then we have to see what is the cure. Well, here's the problem. We need a diagnosis. With America, we'll just stick with them. The problem with America is we're being diagnosed people who are denying that we have a spirit, that we are spiritual people at all. They understand that we are flesh. Of course, we're humans, people, and that we have a mind, because they're already saying there's people with mental problems. They know we have emotions, so we have emotional problems, personality disorders. They accept that. But we live in a country that is denying that we have any spirit about us and that there are spiritual things happening. Now, as the Bible says, we have a form of godliness. People go to church, but they deny that godliness is worth anything and that there's a godly power. They deny the power, deny any power of that godliness, deny any power of godliness to do anything. So we need a correct diagnosis. The diagnosis is we are spiritually sick, and the spiritual side is more powerful than the mental side. It's more powerful than the emotional side. If we could get Americans, or maybe the church, to start diagnosing us, enough of us. How many thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of pastors and churches do we have in this country? Well, if we could get at least some hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them to start telling, let me give you a diagnosis, and here's the problem, and just pound it and pound it and pound it, and just say, here's the problem. We are spiritually sick. And the spirit is more powerful, because we have spirits, is more powerful than the soul or the mind or the will or the emotions or whatever. It's more powerful. If you can heal their spirits, you'll heal everything else. You see, we are spiritually sick. America can be cured, but first of all, we need a diagnosis that says it's the spirit that is the problem. But we're living in a culture that denies we even have spirit or spiritual problems, wants to deny we're spiritual people, takes the spirit completely away from us, you see. And so without the spiritual side of us, we're going to continue to be sick. I'll tell you right now, you can take away everything you want to take away. Take away guns if you want to. We'll still be sick. And in time, the sick people will get a hold of some weapon, guns. They'll take a car and drive it into a parade, which they've done. They'll make a bomb. They've made pipe bombs. They'll find a bomb, make a bomb, and they'll blow up something. You see, it won't stop the sickness just by taking away a gun. They'll find other ways, which they have in the past. And on top of that, if we could get a worldwide revival, we maybe get rid of the threat of nuclear bombs and nuclear war, because the sick people can push a button. They're sick somewhere else. We've got to get hi, Marilyn. We've got to get the sickness out of us, you see. And so what a revival does, and what a renewal does, what a refreshing does, is begin to recognize that we are people with a spirit. See, now we can have a lost spirit, as they say. We can have a dead spirit. We can have our earthly spirits can be a big mess and sick, but we can have a spiritual renewal, revival of the spirit. And all of a sudden, you get the Spirit of God. Hi, Michael. You get the Spirit of God touched, the Spirit touched by God. Then you begin to realize now it starts reaching out, and all of a sudden your emotions start to change. Your mind starts to change. Your feelings, your personality, because the Spirit, when touched by God, begins to take over your being, because the Spirit is more powerful than everything else. And it doesn't mean you'll be perfect. It doesn't mean you won't make mistakes. It doesn't mean that you won't ever need a counselor or have a friend talk you through some tough times. It doesn't mean all that. But it means that we're on our way to the cure, because we are more than just bodies. We are more than just personalities and flesh, or the Bible calls it the soul, the mind, the will, the emotions. We're more than that. And so we're neglecting 1/3 of who we are. We're shutting it down, saying it doesn't matter, and trying to make ourselves well. So we can cure America, but we need a proper diagnosis. All right. So we need to know what's wrong with us. We are spiritually starving. Well, we are skin and bones. Our country, maybe yours, is skin and bones. You've seen people starving. You can see their ribs and their cheekbones and their eyes are bulging out. That's how we spiritually are. We are spiritually starving. And you know, starving people do weird things. Starving people grab. Starving people are desperate. And so these people are starving on the inside. Their spirits are starving and dying on the inside. And so they react and respond in ways that we don't understand, we can't comprehend, but we can cure. We can cure. So the fault comes back on those who are in the business of spirit. I'm not expecting the politicians to get this and all of a sudden turn into preachers and talking about the Spirit. We've got people that say they carry a Bible, they go to church, they're called pastors and apostles and evangelists, teach, well, they need to do their job. See, the problem is the church isn't doing its job. And the problem is we got people who are paying them, not making them do their job. So really fall in the problem. You say, well, it's the problem with the pastors and the ministers. Not really. It's the problem is with the people that keep paying them. If those people rise, we need a spiritual movement. We need people that feed our spirits. We are starving. We're tired of just social clubs. We're tired of entertainment. We have entertainment that's called spirit, and it's kind of spiritual. It's sort of spiritual, and it's sort of entertainment. And we have all that stuff, and we are tired of that. We need something to cure America's spirit, and we realize that we are spiritual people who are starving for spiritual things, and it's causing America to be sick. Now, I can't just do this alone. Yeah, it would take about hundreds and hundreds of us to do it, but it could start, and if we had enough preachers saying it, then enough people might say it, and then enough people might say, I'm not going to pay a pastor or a minister or an evangelist to come in here and give us more entertainment and sloppy me-isms and humanisms and all that. We got to have some feeding of our spirits. Enough people do it, and we'd have it. Somebody said, how do we get revival in America? I said, stop paying the ones that won't preach it. And they'd either start preaching it they'd start preaching it. They'll preach whatever you pay them to preach. You start saying, I'm not going to pay you anymore because they're hirelings. They work for money. So you just got to say, hey, this is what we want you to preach, because they're doing that now. We want you to preach humanism and that. Well, yeah, you keep doing that, and we're going to keep having a sick America. We're sick in our souls, yes, mind, our will, our emotion, yes, but because we're starving in our spirits. Well, you want to heal America or your country or whatever, your church, your city, understand we are starving in our spirits, and we need to have, first of all, a diagnosis. And we're having politicians diagnose because that's all they know. They know how to do it. We're going to pass laws, right? We got psychiatrists. Well, we're going to do mental health, right? Now, if we could just give the preachers, the denominations, the spiritual people that carry Bibles and stand in the pulpits to give us the diagnosis that's coming from the throne of God, we could cure America. And that's what I got to say today. Until next time.